There is no plan B. It is a very famous phrase that has taken prominence in the rise of the ecological ideals of the new millennium. It is a phrase that is supposed to be a call to power to make people more conscious about their actions. The concept is simple. If we mess up this world more than we already have, we won't have anything else to work with. It'll be over. And in complete honesty, I kind of hate this motto. I mean, don't get me wrong. I like what it represents. But I think there's a slight shift in the call to action that makes it not as good as it could be. Sustainability is not just a task on a list. It is a lifestyle we need to live by. But this motto makes it seem like we need to do something because we don't have a choice, which is true. But more than that, we should want to do it because we want to live more sustainably. But in this view, the climate crisis isn't a chance to change, but a hurdle we need to overcome. And once we do, most people will not think about it twice, and will simply return to their daily lives. On a slightly unrelated note, let's speak about Musk. For those who don't know who he is, Elon Musk is a so-called genius who picked himself up by his bootstraps and is now trying to save the world. And by picking himself up by his bootstraps, I mean his parents owned a diamond mine in South Africa and bought a company named Tesla. Everyone knows who Elon Musk is, to the point where he's one of the most hated figures in the world. But I can't help but feel bad for him. Can you imagine being booed by everyone just because you showed up to a place? Can you imagine being hated on the most popular app that you own? To make it clear, this is not a defense of him. Many people have their own reasons for disliking him. I do as well. However, I think my reasons for disliking him are different than the average person. But before we get into all that, let's talk about something completely unrelated. Star Wars is one of the most iconic franchises on the planet. And it's good. I mean, don't get me wrong, I absolutely love the Clone Wars TV show, as it was my introduction to the franchise. I simply have conflicting feelings about the movies, but honestly, that's neither here nor there. The main thing I enjoy about Star Wars is watching video essays about it. Watching fans, especially those who know every single detail about this universe, go into detail about a specific topic is really fun to me. And on YouTube, you can basically find Star Wars video essays on basically anything. You can watch an entire video on the obscure history of a certain character, watch a video on the metaphysical and physiological nature of its story, or watch a video on the ethics of droids. But one aspect I never hear talked about is the ecology of Star Wars, and how, in particular, it's an ecological nightmare. For those who might not know, the main movies focus on the struggle between two sides, the Jedi and the Sith. The Jedi are usually represented by the Republic or the New Republic, and the Sith are usually represented by the Empire or the New Order, which are basically the same thing, but whatever. And the Sith are obviously the bad guys. But something I always considered was how the Sith are only ever antagonistic towards important characters or main characters. But to regular people, the people who never see the gigantic space fights, I always wondered how they felt about the Sith. Well, we finally got an answer in what I consider to be the second greatest Star Wars TV show, Andor. In Andor, we get to see how the Empire oppresses the everyday person. However, one facet of this oppression I always found interesting was from an ecological and specifically indigenous standpoint. On one of the many planets the Empire has made their base, we find an indigenous tribe who has lived there for centuries. Even then, the Empire has occupied the planet for themselves against their wishes. They make it perfectly clear that they don't care about their rights. They see them simply as obstacles in their way. If that weren't bad enough, it is also clear that the Empire is there to steal their resources, to use their planet as an object to be used for their own ends. This is only one planet we get to see in the galaxy. There are probably many more like these. This idea of using planets as resources can be seen in almost every form of the Empire's rule. The vast majority of planets we see are being used as batteries for the Empire's expenses. Their entire authoritarian rule seems to revolve around forced labor. Whether it be the only available jobs of the lower class, or the forced labor in prisons, every aspect of their lives is focused around building bigger parts for the Empire's weapons and ships. And now we get to see a bigger picture. The Empire steals resources from other planets and then forces the lower class to build their weapons of mass destruction for them. I mean, look at something like the Death Star. Something that massive must have taken a lot of stolen resources to make. And whichever planet they stole it from must have become completely crippled in the process. And the main purpose of the Death Star is to blow up other planets, so it's an endless cycle of destruction. When the Empire is finally defeated and the New Republic is born, that entire battle must have left the entire galaxy completely drained of resources. As much as I talk down about the Empire, I don't see enough evidence to point that the Republic was any better. The Republic also seems to have gigantic negative environmental impacts. I remember watching The Phantom Menace for the first time and being introduced to Coruscant, which is described as a planet that is one big city. And in the movie, they make it seem as if this is a wonderful and awe-inspiring scene, but I remember thinking this would be an absolute nightmare. Just think about it, an entire planet, and wherever you go, it's one big city. Essentially, if New York took over the entire world. Just thinking about it gives me a headache. And more importantly, just think about how many resources were wasted on building this planet. Because in the grand scheme of things, this was not that necessary. But they make it seem necessary for their all-important bureaucracy, which, from what I understand, doesn't even work that well in the first place. The Empire exploited their own resources because they were a fascist organization that fetishized their own power. However, the Republic exploits their resources because they believe the expansion of their circle of influence is a net positive for the galaxy. But I still stay unconvinced if that's even true. The main point I'm trying to make is that the Republic and the New Republic doesn't seem to be any better than the Empire was when it comes to their ecological point of view. But good thing Star Wars is just fiction, right? Okay, let's backtrack. When I said everyone hates Elon Musk, that actually isn't the case. Many people actually love him and see him as a savior because they believe he'll be the man to establish a colony on Mars. I am still unsure if that's the case, however, many powerful people believe so, and therefore back up all of his ideas and ventures. Which brings us back to that motto, there is no planet B. Well, what if there was? What if there was a planet C, D, E, and F? What then? What if we as a species established several different colonies on different planets? Would we then achieve a utopian future for mankind? Or would we see something similar to Star Wars, where entire planets are being used as dumps for our overconsumption and greed? I don't know, honestly. I'm just talking out loud here. I mean, anyone watching this video right now will never actually get to know the answer. We will all be long dead by then. It's just fun to think about, you know? Anyway, drink water, stay safe, and enjoy your day. Thanks for watching. Peace.